right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the October 18th meeting of the City of Lowell License Commission. And before we start, I'd just like to welcome our newest member, Christy Delaney. Welcome. All right, was the meeting posted?
Yes.
Okay, and the first on the agenda?
Commission now take up matters to do with special one-day license applications for malt beverages and wine only. James J. Jeffers for Sunday, October 28th, 2012, from 5:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. The event is the annual benefit art auction to be held at the 119 Gallery at 119 Chelmsford Street. Do you want to take that first? And then
Yeah, we'll take that first. Could you introduce yourself for the record?
James J. Jeffers.
All right, James, and what are you planning to do on the 28th?
We're going to have a postcard show and a 1 by 1 foot art auction where people come, pay $50, get a piece of art, or $10 and they get a postcard sized piece of art.
Okay, and who's going to be running the bar that you have?
I am.
You are, okay. And have you done that in the past?
I have.
Have you ever held a license with the City of Lowell before?
I have.
So you're aware of the rules and regulations?
I am.
Okay, and you understand that the license is in your name?
I do.
Okay, and if you have any issues, you should call the Lowell Police.
Absolutely.
And you don't call 911?
Right,
You
we have a
call
direct number.
Directly, Lowell Police. You guys have any questions?
Mr. Shockey, what's the capacity of the 119?
I don't know the fire regulations straight off, but it's about 50, 60 people.
And you've had this event in the past?
We have, yes.
And there's not much parking over there, is there?
There's a lot of parking. In fact, in front of the, whatever that company is that's right there on Chelmsford Street, that's all street parking. It's a lot of parking, actually.
Okay.
We don't have any parking issues.
I'll take a motion.
Motion to approve.
Seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. So moved.
Great, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda?
Commission now take up the matters to do with special one-day license applications for all alcoholic beverages. Jennifer Smith Shockey, Assistant Director Development of the House of Hope nonprofit organization, for Thursday, October 25th, 2012, from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. The event is the Harvest of Hope benefit to be held at the Whistler House Museum of Art at 243 Worthen Street.
Could you please introduce yourself for the record?
I am Jennifer Smith Sharkey.
All right, Jennifer, and have you held the license before in the City of Lowell?
No,
Okay. So could you explain to me what you're going to be doing on the 25th?
this is the Harvest of Hope event, and it's our annual fundraiser. This is the 26th event.
And who's going to be running the bar on that night?
It is New England, a bartending service of New England.
Okay, so you've contracted out for that?
Yes.
Okay,
And I have a certificate of liability insurance
great,
that they've extended to cover us for the day.
great. And as you heard me tell Mr. Jeffers, you understand that this license is in your name? It's not in the House of Hope's name, it's in your name. So you are responsible. If if you believe anyone's been overserved or is about to be overserved, you have the ability and the right and the duty to tell them not to serve him.
Okay.
If there's any issues, like I said, you call the Lowell Police, and the Lowell Police will help you out. But just be aware, the license is in your name, not in the House of Hope's name, so you have complete control that evening.
Okay. Can I ask you something? So, should I have my name, do you think, on the certificate of insurance? I mean, I had it in House of Hope's name. We've never done this before. I don't know how. It's never happened in 26 years.
I mean, I don't want to, as a lawyer, I would highly recommend it. As a licensed commissioner, I'm not going to give you any advice.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Okay. We've never had to do this before, so
Yeah, I would.
just want to make sure we cover it. Okay.
Any questions?
Just a comment, Mr. Chairman, I've been to the House of Hope's Harvest of Hope event on a couple of occasions, and I don't think over-serving any of the patrons there.
Yeah, that's a pretty tame crowd.
That's good to know.
Yeah, there'll be about 80 to 90 people.
Great. Okay. I'll take a motion.
I'll motion to approve the application.
Seconded.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. So moved. Good luck.
Okay, thanks.
Welcome.
Commission now take up applications filed by Natalia Mello of the Holy Ghost Society. There are 3 such applications for all alcoholic beverages for Saturday, October 20th, 2012, from 9 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. for the Brazilian Night at Holy Ghost Park, 65 Village Street. Also, Natalia has filed for Saturday, October 27th, from 5 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. for the St. George Gala at the Holy Ghost Park, 65 Village Street. And also, Natalia has filed for Friday, November 2nd, 2012, from 6 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. for the New England Stars Hockey Team fundraiser at the Holy Ghost Park, 65 Village Street.
Could you introduce yourself for the record?
Natalia Mello, and I'm the secretary for the Holy Ghost
Okay, and how long have you been the secretary, Natalia?
for 2 years.
2 years. Have you ever held a license in the city of Lowell?
Nope.
Okay.
But I know all about it because they talk about it all the time.
All right. Well, as you heard me tell the previous 2 applicants, the license is in your name. It's not
Yes.
in the Holy Ghost Society. So
Yeah, I
you are
understand.
responsible for these 3 events.
Yes.
Okay? I know that we had a late filing on this, and I was just wondering if the law department could give us some guidance relative to the open meeting law.
Certainly, Chairman. The City of Lowell Law Department contacted the Attorney General's office. They have a department dealing with open meeting laws, and they advised the Law Department that there is a very narrow exception in the open meeting laws that allows the License Commission to adjudicate this matter because it was not reasonably anticipated. Notice was placed regarding this matter 24 hours prior, and the License Commission has also had numerous experience with the Holy Ghost Society in this matter, and it was also expected that there was not going to be public comment on this issue. Therefore, in the Attorney General's office opinion, the matter could be heard by the License Commission. As an extra precaution, the Law Department recommends that these events be placed on the agenda for the next meeting so that if the public wishes to comment in regards to what occurred in the event, that option is open to the public as well.
Okay, thank you very much. So, Ms. Mel, because your application was filed late, the law department, used their, or jumped through some hoops to talk to the Attorney General's office and find that there was a narrow exception that would allow this to be heard today. But I know the Holy Ghost Society, they spend a lot of money with the city and get a lot of licenses, but there are deadlines that need to be met, and in the future, I'd hope that we get some, not that you haven't been cooperative in the past, but that there's continued cooperation between the Holy Ghost Society and the License Commission relative to these licenses. So could
This
you
was
just-
my first time, and the President, Fernando Souza, his mom has been in the hospital since Sunday, and there was the problem. I had no idea that needed to be filed prior 48. Now I know.
Right.
I apologize for any inconvenience that may have caused.
Okay, that's great. And we hope Fernando's mother's doing well. Could you just explain to me what the Brazilian night?
Brazilian night basically is like they put up a show and they sell tickets at the door for Brazilian community. The one on October 20th, it's basically a fundraiser to raise money to buy some wheelchairs to send to a nursing home in Portugal. And the third one is actually on November 2nd, is my son plays hockey for the New England Stars, and we're going to Canada for a tournament. And we basically doing a fundraising with all the parents on that specific day.
All right, great. Well, like I said, just remember the license is in your name. All these events are inside.
I'm gonna
The
be
only complaints we ever have with the Holy Ghost Society are sometimes outside sound. We shouldn't have an issue with these, but if any of the other commissioners have a comment, feel free.
Now, I know you've not been before the board before, but I wonder if in the past, is 1:30 the general time that you're looking to have this license extend till?
Yeah, usually like last call is like 10 of 1, but by the time we clean up the people and everything, but the bar usually closes at 10 of 1.
I just want to tell you, I have a great concern about extending hours for serving alcohol till past 1 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
If you were petitioning for a 1 o'clock closing time, I would be supportive, because I know the Holy Coast Society has done very well down there, and there have not been any problems to my knowledge. But I think about the people over on Douglas Road and you know, serving alcohol till 1:30 in the morning. There may be people who step off your premises, who have been served on your premises, who get loud in the neighborhood. And
But usually, most of our parties, the inside parties, you know, by 1 o'clock, it's done. But I think that in the past, they always ask until 1:30. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not.
Well, until you filed your application, if I may just interject, it had been up to 2 a.m. I know one of the earlier applicants this year commented that in an inquiry that Commissioner Tague had just raised, is that when it was 2 a.m., it was explained to the commission, as I recall, that the service itself was stopped at 1 o'clock in the morning. But that because of the intent get the guests off the premises in a reasonable period of time, and to start cleaning up and breaking it, getting the customers to understand, or the guests to stop their drinking. 2 a.m. was kind of like a safe period to just make sure that they're within the realm of the statute, state law, and local regulation. But that's...
Well, I think the history of the Holy Ghost Society in front of this board relative to any alcohol-related violations, I'm not, in my 5+ years, there's been none that I'm aware of, and typically it's 2 a.m., so in my view, I have no problem with the 1:30. So I'd make a motion to approve all 3 licenses.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you, and good luck to the new member there.
Thank you.
Good luck. Next up,
Commissioner,
excuse me. Go right ahead.
okay, Commission will now take up matters to do with special events permit. Number 3, I should speak to first. For ratification, the issuance on October the 11th, 2012 of a special events permit for amplified outdoor public entertainment to Global Spectrum, the Sanger Center, Kyle Schwartz, Senior Event Manager at 300, the event location at 300 Martin Luther King Jr. Way. The event was the University of Massachusetts Lowell Fall Festival, which held Saturday, October 13th, 2012. And there was a sound system in place that Saturday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., and it was situated in the north side of the Sanger Center, the outdoor grounds. Mr. Schwartz had communicated to the office, the License Commission office, in a manner in which it was caught between scheduling of 2 meetings. He's communicated to the License Commission. A formal letter was submitted to the commission explaining the circumstances and requesting understanding on that aspect. And I issued that license for the 13th of October because our last meeting had been September 27th, and now we're scheduled again this evening. I've heard no complaints.
I'll make a motion to ratify.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved.
Following up with that event, there is additional applications filed by Mr. Schwartz, Kyle Schwartz of Global Spectrum, Sanger Center, for tomorrow evening's Alan Jackson Block Party for Friday, October the 19th, from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., to be held behind the Sanger Center, the north side, sound system for band and radio station. In addition, Mr. Schwartz has also filed for an event, the University of Massachusetts Lowell Open House, which is scheduled for Sunday, October 28th, from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., that's 12 noon, to be held at the Circle grass area of the John F. Cox Circle, which is the University of Massachusetts Band is scheduled to perform several sets. The band itself doesn't require a sound system. So technically, I suspect that this application is not necessarily necessary to have it been filed. Mr. Schwartz explained in his communication to the License Commission the situation was setting up for tomorrow evening's event, and he prevented him from being here this evening to address the board. I know Mr. Schwartz has appeared before the License Commission in the past. In the last couple of years, there have been several outdoor activities where Global Spectrum has been directly responsible. And Mr. Schwartz was here, and he communicated his apologies for not being present.
I know Global Spectrum and the Saga Center, and Mr. Schwartz has appeared here numerous times. I guess we just don't want to make it a habit of him filing licenses and then not appearing for the meeting. I know our meeting schedule has been kind of intermittent because of the changes we've gone through over the last couple months. So I guess with this event Friday, we don't.
Tomorrow evening,
that's
weather
tomorrow,
permitting, of
weather
course.
permitting. You know, I don't want to penalize him, but I think we got to make it clear in the future that he's got to be here to, you know, if everyone else has to be here, the Saga Center has to be here too. But with that, I'd make a motion to approve the applications. Get that seconded?
I'll second that, but I too would like to see a letter of admonition sent to Mr. Schwartz as a condition of ratifying anything further. We won't be doing it in his absence.
Sure. All right, so we'll amend that to include the letter to Mr. Schwartz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved.
Is Keith Harley here? Okay, let me just read it into the record. Application for secondhand motor vehicles, used car dealer license, Class 2 license application. This is the matter that had been continued from September 27, 2012. The matter of the application from KMH Automotive Corp., Keith Harley, President, doing business as KMH Motors Corp., for premises at 45 Meadowcroft Street, Unit Number 3, to include fenced area adjacent to Unit Number 4 and area in front. The Unit Number 3 is 1,200 square feet, and that's in accordance with the lease that Mr. Keith Harley has with the landlord. For the sake of the record, Mr. Commissioners, I had reminded Mr. Harley of this matter being continued from our last meeting. There were several issues that needed to be looked at, and for Mr. Harley to possibly speak to his landlord, specifically in regards to the lease itself and allowance for sale of secondhand motor vehicles as part of his business activity, in addition to the automotive repair that he's presently permitted to have. Also, in addition to that, was the define a specific square footage of an outside storage area for his secondhand motor vehicles that are open, that are public, for public sale. In conversation with Mr. Harley I had on the telephone earlier in the week, I thought I would have had spoken with him and met with him to kind of go over any amendment to this application, but apparently not.
Okay. Well, I guess what we'll do is, if Mr. Harley is not present right now, we can just put it on for a second call at the end of the meeting, and if he's not here at the end of the meeting, we can continue it, give him one last chance at our next meeting, and then from there, we'll decide then.
Okay. Commission will now take up matters to do with a hearing on allegations of misconduct as charged by Kenneth E. LaValle, the Superintendent of Police, against the corporation known as Lucky Bee, Inc., doing business as Pete's Exxon. Pete Vojazoglu, Senior, is the manager of record, 185 Woburn Street, malt beverage and wine only package store, licensee. This is regards to the alleged violation of Chapter 138, Section 34, sale of delivery of alcohol beverage to a person under 21 years of age.
Okay. Could you introduce yourself for the record?
Peter Voyatoglu.
Okay. Could you just say into the microphone?
Erica Page.
Eric Page, okay. Would you like the complaint read into the record? Or do you waive the reading of the complaint?
Yeah, I'll waive.
Okay. Captain Webb, could you just give an overview of the complaint against Lucky B. Inc.?
Mr. Chairman, on September 6th of this year, detectives assigned to the Special Investigations Section under the command of Lieutenant Goldner were conducting compliance checks at various liquor establishments in the city. The detectives were being assisted by a 20-year-old male in these compliance checks. The male had no identification with him, and he only had that money which had been provided to him by the detectives. At 6:15 p.m., the male entered Lucky B Incorporated at 185 Woburn Street and purchased a 12-pack of Heineken Light beer from the female clerk, Ms. Page, and was not asked for identification. Ms. Page was also the clerk that failed the compliance check at this business on 4/26, and this is at least the third violation in the past 2.5 years. Superintendent is very concerned with this location and the repeated failure of the compliance checks, and we would ask for a lengthy suspension. Detective Desolitz is here this evening if you'd like to hear from him.
Okay. If I could just speak to Detective Desolitz briefly. Detective Desolitz, with the individual that went in and bought the alcohol, did you explain to him the rules and regulations of the ABCC relative to compliance checks?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And they were fully aware of those rules at the time?
Yes, the captain has signed copies of those
All right.
rules.
So, and they signed off on those rules and
Yes.
regulations? Okay. That's it. All right. Well, your side of the story.
There's no excuse. There really isn't. You know, she got caught once, and you know, I thought that would have been enough, and you know, but obviously it wasn't. So you know, I've taken her hours away. I'm trying to get some new people in. You know, I've failed on a few of them because I just didn't meet what I needed. And I'm taking monthly meetings with all my employees, including Subway, and trying to get everyone on the same page and watching my store and making sure that everyone's doing their job. I've also had my brother acting as me at night, because that seems to be every time when I leave is when the problems become.
Well,
I've been in this store for 15 years, and I've never had a problem that I haven't been able to nail down, and you know.
but this is a problem that you can't nail down, that you haven't
It
been
is,
nailing
it's
down.
gonna be. I will nail this down.
Yeah.
I'm
Well-
beside myself on how this even happened again.
Okay. Well, this is the problem. The compliance checks are meant to be teaching tools that are conducted by the ABCC and the City of Lowell Police Department. But obviously, the Lucky B are bad students because you're not getting the concept of what's going on. And I believe Captain Wood said this is the third time in 2.5 years. It might even be more than that. I believe it's four.
This would be the fourth
This would be the
instance.
fourth. So typically, you know, the first time we read you the riot act and say, don't do it again. And then the second time, we issue a minimum, you know, suspension and then the third time it gets a little lengthier. And this time, I mean, I don't think there's any excuse whatsoever. This is, and when you guys came in and applied for this license, I was sitting up here, and the issue that we have with this establishment is that not only do you have a Dunkin' Donuts there, you have a Subway there, you have a convenience store, and you do a lot of business, and there are a lot of people coming in and out, and it gets busy. But the service of alcohol is a very serious thing, and you and your employees have to know that, and you have to be vigilant. And although you may think it's unfair, a place like your convenience store is held to a higher standard because you have kids under the age of 21 constantly coming in there. I go there frequently in the mornings, and there are kids and parents and people filling up their gas who run in and run out, and it just cannot happen. I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, there's a 7-day suspension that was held in abeyance that if you were found in violation, again, that would be enacted. So it would be my recommendation that the 7-day suspension be enforced, well, that there is a violation for serving under the age of 21, that the 7-day suspension would be enacted, and then you would receive an additional 30-day suspension on top of that. And, you know, that's 37 days without selling alcohol. That's a serious punishment. And, you know, I guess if it happened again, I would think we would just revoke the license. That would be my recommendation. But I know other commissioners may have questions or recommendations, so.
No, I think that was a very cogent analysis, Mr. Chairman, and I agree, there are children in that neighborhood. It's heavily trafficked by children. It's right next to the highway, and selling alcohol to a minor in such a situation, it becomes very dangerous just on one instance, and now we're on the fourth. So I think the disciplinary action that you've recommended would be in order, and I would motion that we take such disciplinary action.
I would have to agree.
All right, so we'll take that in the form of a motion that it will be a 7-day suspension followed from the previous disciplinary action, followed by an additional 30-day suspension. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And just be warned, if it happens again, the license, my recommendation will be revoked. And that means 2 years after that, you know, or a year after that, there's not going to be any reapplication, et cetera. This is a serious issue that needs to be dealt with, and you have to deal with it, okay? So, I mean, this is a long time, so I don't want to see any beers on the shelves, anything done for 37 days, okay?
Yep.
Members of the commission, if I can just add, in respect to the licensee of record has the option to appeal the decision of the licensing board upon receipt of its written decision, which should be forthcoming or sent out probably beginning of next week, I would think. In terms of scheduling the suspension period, I'm not sure whether you...
Why don't we use November? Would November 1st be okay? Because if they get the decision Monday or Tuesday, they have 5 days, well, it'll be pretty close.
As long as, upon receipt, they have 5 days to file an appeal with the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission if they wish to go that way. And, but the fact that but by virtue of any licensee's request to have an appeal hearing before the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission, that doesn't stop the suspension from taking effect. It would be up to the licensing board whether they would entertain a request to stay the suspension pending a hearing before the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission. If a request is made, and that request is denied, then the other option would be for the licensee of record to go to Superior Court to seek a temporary injunction pending a hearing on the appeal before the Alcohol Beverages Control. That's typically what I've experienced in the past, as you all are aware, Commissioner Vacation. We know of that type of scenario. But that's just to put that on the...
So I think November 1st would be, that would give us enough time, correct, if we get it out?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah, all right.
And plus time in which the licensee may appeal.
Yeah, right. So it'll be 37 days starting November 1st.
Okay,
Don't let it happen again, please.
absolutely.
Okay. Next on the agenda?
Commission now to open a hearing on the allegation of misconduct as charged by Kenneth E. LaValle, the Superintendent of Police, against the licensee known as Ornelas Enterprises, Inc., 1012 Gorham Street, Teresa Ornelas, manager, all alcoholic beverages package store licensee, regarding violation of Chapter 138, Section 34, to wit, sale or delivery of alcohol beverage to a person under 21 years of age.
Introduce yourself for the record.
Teresa Ornelas.
And do you waive reading of the complaint?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Captain Webb, if you could just summarize again.
Mr. Chairman, again, on September 6th of this year, Special Investigation Section detectives were conducting compliance checks in the city at various liquor establishments, assisted by a 20-year-old male who had no identification or money with him other than the money that had been given to him by the detectives. At 6:35 p.m., the 20-year-old entered Ornelas Liquors at 1012 Gorham Street, purchased a 12-pack of Heineken light beer from Teresa Ornelas. Lieutenant Goldner then entered the store and informed her of the violation.
Okay.
Detective Desolitz was also there that night, and he's here if you'd like to speak to him.
All right. What do you have to say?
I know that I made a mistake of selling to him. I know that for a fact that I always ask for ID. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened. I mean, I realized as soon as that he was turning around, and I said, oh my God, I missed ask for an ID. And I worked there for 15 and a half years, and I know my obligations is definitely making sure that I don't sell anybody underage. I'm under a lot of stress, but
I understand.
from the late of my husband, but it's not an excuse for what I did.
And you said you've been working there for how long have you guys, well, how long has the family owned the store?
15 and a half years.
15 and a half years. Mr. Nguyen, have they had any violations?
In my check on the background, it was several years ago. I think there was a complaint of identical nature. And at that time, the commission just, again, warned the licensee. And I believe at that time, it was Mr. Ornelas, who now is deceased. May his God rest his soul.
Right.
Fact is that there was just a one-time instance, and there was no subsequent matter. And that at that time, and now it's to this.
And that was several years ago?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, at least in my view of this, one, I know later in the agenda we have, well, the application. I know you're transferring the establishment, but I mean, I think you've been in the business long enough. You know that this is a serious issue, and you saw the suspension that business received. And I know they sell gas and subs and everything there. This is your business, so if that happened to you, you guys would be paralyzed. My recommendation on this one would be to put it on file and give you, be aware that a suspension would be levied next time if this happens again. It's supposed to be a teaching experience. I hope that you've explained to all your employees the significance of this. And do you have any sort of prompt system on the register or ID swipe? Do you have any of that, or it's just all?
No, it's just, we just check the ID, we're into class, TIPS class, and then they show it to us exactly what to look for.
Okay, so you took the tips class. All right, well, I think maybe if you did something that prompted whoever's working the register to ask for that ID. I know you're getting out of the business, but just, you're still in it until the transfer
Yes.
is approved, so you have to be vigilant and
Definitely.
just remind everyone. So that would be my recommendation, but.
No, I have to agree with the recommendation, and I would motion that we issue a warning in this instance. And, human beings make mistakes, but you don't seem intractable about it, so.
All right.
Okay. I'll second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Yeah, thanks.
Next on the agenda.
Commission will now open the hearing on the allegation of misconduct as charged by Kenneth E. LaValle, Superintendent of Police, against Sean Ganem, doing business as 7-Eleven store at 55 Chelmsford Street. Sean Ganem is manager of record, malt beverage and wine only package store. Regarding the allegation complaint that the business had sold or served alcohol beverage to a minor, person under 21 years of age, in violation of Chapter 138, Section 34.
Please introduce yourself for the record.
Sean Ganem?
And would you like the complaint read into the record?
No, that's fine.
Okay. Captain Webb, if you could summarize it once again.
Again, Mr. Chairman, this was an example of compliance checks being conducted by the Special Investigations Section on September 6th, assisted by the 20-year-old male operative. At 7:10 p.m., the 20-year-old entered the 7-Eleven at 55 Chelmsford Street, purchased a 12-pack of Heineken light beer from the clerk and was not asked for identification. Detective Deslitz was involved in that operation, and he is here this evening.
I have a question about the procedure
Yeah.
that this individual done there at the store at the time. He used a diversion. Now, I have a security system in the store that captures all that stuff, and I don't know if Lieutenant Golnick took a look at it, because it's the Lowell Police Department has direct access to that since 2009. So I don't know if he did or not, but I still have it. It's available to look at. Where he walked up, he went straight to the cooler. He took 2 12-packs of Heineken Light. And then he came in, he put 1 12-pack on the register 2, and he took 12-pack on register 1. And he told the cashier that there is a case of beer on the floor, which is the cashier immediately, he created a diversion. Basically, he just started calling, there was two workers at the time, started calling the other guy that there's a case of beer on the floor to make sure, it's a safety hazard on the floor. So,
Just hold on one second.
no, I'm not making an excuse for the cashier. His employment was terminated right on the spot, because he has, in the POS system, there's a prompt, the big screen that pops up, and then he has to scan the ID on the scanner, and if it tells him sell it, he sell it. If not, he doesn't. So his employment was terminated. But when I looked at the tape, explained that to me, I looked at the tape first. I thought he was just making excuses. I looked at the tape, and obviously I didn't bring the tape here with me, but I took a photo shot of him carrying 2 packs of 12 packs, basically putting 1 on register 2, 1 on register 1.
Could you pass it up just for my own?
Sure.
Okay, and, yeah, Captain Webb, this individual is the same individual in all of the previous 2 compliance checks?
Yes, it's the same individual. I'm not aware of the description of events Mr. Ganem is talking about. I don't dispute it, but I just wonder if we're talking about the same person. I have our operative's picture if you'd like to compare them.
No, sure, if we could see the picture. And do you have the signed guidelines too by him?
Yes, in this
packet? They got the same T-shirt on, right? So I just want to see this. Just want to see the. He signed them. Here, you guys can look at this. If I could speak to the police officer for a second. What are your instructions to the individual that was helping you out when you go into the?
I instructed him to purchase a 12-pack of Heineken light beer.
Okay, why would he buy? You don't see the picture, but I'll represent to you that he has 2 12-packs in his hands.
Maybe he thought there were 6-packs and he was confused. When he got to the register, he realized that they were 12-packs. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay, that's it.
Do you know how tall he is, officer?
I'd say he was about 6 feet tall.
He looks like a wrestler.
He was a big kid.
And I assume that bald head is that he has shaved and it's not male pattern baldness.
I didn't ask him.
Well, I mean, I know that he's supposed to reasonably look, the picture that he's 20 is iffy, but at least in terms of me. I still don't think it's an excuse to serve to underage, but I would hope that any sting operation or compliance check is, the person is doing it in good faith.
Well, I assume that's what probably is the answer, that he probably thought he had 2 6-packs and they were 2 12-packs.
Well, I'd hope in the future, just make clear to them exactly what you want, because here he definitely has 2 12-packs in, and if you instructed him to buy one,
Yeah,
then there is, that's different than what happened.
He did only purchase one, though.
Oh, okay. All right. Mr. Ganem, you said that you have on your, at the point of sale, what type of mechanism do you have?
It's probably the most advanced system out there. I mean, there's a pop-up screen that comes up, and you have option to enter the date of birth on it, if you're not sure about if it's 21 or not.
Okay.
There's 2 different systems for the cigarettes, 18 and alcohol, 21. And then if he asks for ID, the cashier doesn't have to enter any information. He just scans the ID on the register, on the scanner, and it gives him, it's a red screen or green screen. Green screen, go, red screen, no. So he at the time, he didn't.
So just a question that I have is, how do you, if you don't type in a birth date or you don't scan a license, how do you sell the alcohol?
Well, if it's a person that's over 30, basically there's an OK button. There's an enter a date of birth and an OK button. So if the person's over 30, he has to press that OK button. It means that he doesn't have to verify ID.
Well, when I saw this complaint come in, I was surprised, because I've been in your store many times, and I've seen, because the store stays open after the sale of alcohol, and I've seen your cashiers not allow the service of alcohol to individuals who are trying to pick it up after the time, and et cetera. So I was surprised when I saw this, because I know that you run a very strict establishment relative to this. Mr. Nguyen, has 7-Eleven had any compliance check violations?
Yeah, Mr. Ganem has been cited one time previously, about 2 years ago, in regards to this nature of this type of event, compliance check.
And
Placed on file.
it was placed on file? Okay. Well, since that time, since the time 2 years ago, what rectifying measures have you made to the?
We put together a training system it's computer based, that every individual has to go through. It's very rigorous, and all of them, they have to get recertified every year, which is, it's a certification that they have to sign, and we hope put it on file on all employees. And of course, with the security system, that we have over 20 cameras in there, you can see anything you want to see, that what's going on, if anybody's doing anything behind doors, behind. So all the employees, especially this individual that the cashier that did this, he was working with me since about 5 years ago. So he never really had any problem. And we signed with a company that it's called the BAR program, which they send undercover people, and they buy cigarettes and alcohol. If you don't ask them for ID, they're over 21. If you don't ask them for ID, they give you a red card, and if you ask for ID, they give you a green card. So we always get scored green cards on every occasion, and they come in twice a week. It's very rigorous. They come in twice a week. We pay that company.
Yeah.
So we never really had any red card in the past since we started that 3 years ago. So this was just, it was a shock when he told me at the time, and of course I let him go. But I looked at the tapes and I saw this. I don't know if he thought it was 2 6-pack if he has already done it so many times that night.
Right. No,
this was his last stop.
I understand. As I said to the Lucky Bee Inc., your store is different than a package store, because there are all types of ages and everything coming in to your store, and you guys have to be vigilant, as every store does, but you have to be hyper vigilant, because you have all ages of individuals coming in and buying different things. you know, I think we recommend that service all the time to people, to have them come in, and I'm glad that you've done that, to have them come in and do those checks that I'm sure you pay them a handsome sum to do it. But maybe you should get some of your money back for this one. So,
This was a tough one.
on this one, where they just had where they had a complaint within the last 2 years, I'd make a recommendation that we suspend the license for 2 days, and but that would be held in abeyance for 6 months, and if there's nothing within 6 months, go away.
Is that a motion?
That would be a motion, yeah.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, good luck.
Thank you.
We don't need this, do we?
No. No. Next on the agenda.
Number 9, which is on the back side of the agenda, page side 2. Review of License Commission request for options to address the use of unlicensed billiard tables and of the operation of an unlicensed restaurant at T's Cafe at 1558 Middlesex Street, rear. Members of the commission, on our last meeting on September the 27th, there was several communications, one from, at the time, Deputy Director of the Developmental Services, Kendra Amarell, a letter from the License Commission Office to the proprietor of T's Cafe, Van Tran, that his license application for billiards tables was denied, and also a police report outlining, at the time, a recent spot check of the establishment by Lowell Police, and kind of outline that there was activity in the cafe. It was evident that the tables, there were 2 tables, and that they were available for use. That there were about 4 or 5 individuals on the premises. They were engaged in either playing billiards, or they were playing cards with evidence of some type of chips, as if they were playing for...
They were wagering something.
Wagering something or other, whether they're of anything of value or just for fun.
Okay.
In any event, it was asked of the solicitor, his office, to kind of review this matter as to whether the License Commission need to proceed with what action they may undertake on this particular business.
Well, the last time we were here, as you just stated, we asked the law department for some options that the License Commission had, and we received an opinion, and I just asked that the Assistant City Solicitor just give us the Reader's Digest version of the opinion.
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. In response to the License Commission's motion to examine legal options and also the situation with T's Cafe, we reviewed the zoning of T's Cafe. We found it to be a regional retail district. And we also reviewed case law as well as statutory law in regards to the License Commission's options towards a establishment that does not have licenses. We found that the fact that T's Cafe is unlicensed and the licenses were denied means that their operation of an establishment is illegal. and as such, the police department can file criminal sanctions against Tea's Cafe and shut it down without the need for a hearing. Now, had Tea's Cafe been operating with licenses, then a hearing would have to be held by the License Commission in order to determine whether the licenses should be revoked, altered, or suspended. In this case, however, because Tea's Cafe has no licenses, they are operating illegally, and as such, the police can respond and shut down Tea's Cafe. In addition, the License Commission has determined that Tea's Cafe is in violation of several Massachusetts state laws, specifically Chapter 140, Section 20, which a unlicensed inholder or common victualler can be fined $100 per violation. Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 140, Section 178, which is the penalty for keeping unlicensed billiards or pool tables, which constitutes a $100 fine. And finally, Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 140, Section 179, which is a penalty for admitting minors under the age of 18 to a billiards or pool hall without written consent, which would be $10 for the first offense and $20 per subsequent offense.
So basically what you're telling us is that at the License Commission, we really have no power to act because we denied the licenses, and it would be the police department that would have the ability to shut them down.
Yes, that is correct.
Right. There's nothing that this board can do in the eyes of the law department.
Because no license was issued and that it was denied, at this point, the matter would be transferred over to the police department and the district attorney's office for adjudication and shutting down Tea's Cafe.
And imposing the fine.
Yes, and imposing the fine, yes.
I know there are a lot of residents from the Joffrey Street neighborhood that are here tonight. I don't know if anyone wants to address us, but as you heard from the law department, the License Commission's hands are tied as to anything that we can do. I know last time we were here, I made a motion to ask that the law department file a lawsuit on behalf of the License Commission, but we've been instructed that cannot happen, and it will be the police department that this situation falls under. But Mr. Bellegarde, if you have a...
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is Tom Bellegarde, 25 Joffrey Street, Lowell, Mass. We have seen a difference since the last meeting, so we do appreciate that. I guess my concern is beyond the issues of the fines and whatnot. What would stop him from paying these fines and coming back in to request pool tables, common vehicle licenses, and things of that nature?
I think he would have the ability to come back in and request a license, but last time he was here, it was denied. I wouldn't want to guess as to make an opinion as to what my fellow commissioners would do, but I think if, given the testimony that was given last time, I'd be inclined to vote against that again.
I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. I mean, I do have pictures again and charts again, and the reason why I actually brought them is for the benefit of the new members. I know Mr. Teague was his first meeting, and I know now you have a full board, a commission. I don't want to be redundant, so I mean, if you don't feel this is necessary at this time, I won't bring it forward.
I wish there was more that we could do, but it seems from the opinion that the law department issued that it's the Lowell Police that really has jurisdiction over this matter and not the License Commission.
Through the chair, can I just ask the captain something? What's the next step from the Lowell Police Department, Captain, in terms of following through on other, for instance, the pool tables are still physically in the building?
Well, we wanted to make sure that we were on the same page with the law department and the commission, and now we're all in agreement that it's going to be a police matter, so the police department will proceed with enforcement action against them.
Okay. And one last thing, again, through the chair, and I know it's not the License Commission, but it definitely is a police matter, and more for the zoning. We're going to eventually get the zoning and health as well. But in terms of parking, the parking today and for the last week or so has been fine because the issue is being worked upon. But in terms of how they park their cars, and not even talking about if they even have enough parking, but in terms of just how they park the cars, they on a dead-end, small dead-end street, they come in on the dead-end street side and park head first like a concert or like stacked parking. And basically, they're actually touching the building. Now, I know, again, this isn't the venue for the code enforcement in terms of what the zoning is, but I do know that cars have to be 5 feet from a building and 3 feet from the property line. And obviously, that's not taking place here, so I would hope that if you could have someone just take a look at that for us.
Thank you. We'll
Okay,
check
thank
that
you.
out and check that out with the fire department too.
Good idea. Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
If I may, the matter can also be investigated by the law department in that we have a enforcement officer that is in charge of parking, and if a complaint is filed, an investigation can be done. But also in this matter, though, given that the police will be investigating the matter, it might be best to go through the police in regards to investigations on that.
Thank you, Mr. Solicitor.
Going on with the agenda?
Yes, next on the
Number 10, with respect to the office, License Commission, Executive Secretary, yours truly. I had issued a license for Common Vittler to an individual named James Holland, doing business as Jim's Snack Bar here at City Hall in the basement, 375 Merrimack Street. And at that time, his application was complete with respect to background and business certificate filed with the city clerk. It came to my attention after issuing the license to him, he had had his health inspection, and I received from him cash payment of $75 for the annual license fee. And then I read the fine print of a communication from the Office of the Commission of the Blind, and Mr. Holland is being sponsored by the Commission of the Blind to operate a vending facility here in the building, in a public building. In the communication from the Office of the Commission of the Blind, it cites Mass General Law, Chapter 6, Section 133D, in which it specifically states that notwithstanding the provisions of any general or special law to the contrary, no rental or other charge shall be demanded, assessed, exacted, required, or received for the granting of authority to a vendor licensed by the Commission for the Blind to operate a vending facility pursuant to the provisions of this chapter. And so I asked the board to consider the matter of whether it's appropriate to say waiver, or for me to reimburse Mr. Holland his cash payment of $75 for the license to continue operating as a common vittler in compliance with Mass General Law, Chapter 6, Section 133D.
I'll make a motion that we waive the fee and have the city of Lowell reimburse Mr. Holland for his application fee.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor say aye. Aye, so moved.
Thank you. And then just as a follow-up on the matter, just recently this week, applications were filed by a limited liability company known as Number 2 China Star LLC, requesting a new license, an original license for all alcoholic beverages restaurant. Also filed application for license for common vittler and application for license for entertainment and licensed restaurant for premises at 1733 Middlesex Street. This is a matter that would require a public hearing, a hearing date set by the License Commission. It would also entail a public notice in the local newspaper, a legal notice, a one-time publication, and that the applicant would have to notify all property owners touching the abutters, and if there's any church, school, or hospital within a 500-foot radius of 1733 Middlesex Street, that would also be required of the applicant to notify such a enterprise or nonprofit facility. I just want the commission to be aware in my review of the application, initial review, and I know it's obviously for the License Commission to pursue further, but and before you set a hearing date, if you choose to set a hearing date, there's a couple of things that need to be addressed by the applicant or by the attorney representing the applicant on this matter, and I just make that board aware of that. I've kind of given an outline on the paperwork. I've given a copy to you of this particular matter.
I mean, I think, before acting on an application, it should be as complete as possible. And Attorney Flood has been here numerous times, and he knows how to prepare a complete application. And whether they were just trying to file it to get in for the next meeting, it's clear that this application isn't complete. And I know, in my experience, the ABCC wouldn't act on this, and since we have to approve it and send it to the ABCC, I would think that it would be in the Lowell License Commission's best interest not to act on a license, an application that was as incomplete as this one is. So I wouldn't be inclined to schedule it for a hearing at the next meeting, especially, I know that Commissioner Tague and Commissioner Delaney will learn that Secretary Wynn is very thorough in doing these applications, and as you can see, he lets the other attorney, or lets the attorney or the applicant know what's required of them, and if we don't have this information in the application would have, you said the notice would have to be published tomorrow. I don't think it's wise to publish in the newspaper and then not have a complete application to act upon, so I mean, we could recommend,
What I may do, if it's
Yeah, sure.
Commission's wish, is I could communicate with the attorney tomorrow on this matter and let it be known that the matter can be, again, reviewed by the board on the meeting of November the 8th for possible hearing date to be scheduled at that time, assuming that the application is certain issues that need to be addressed. Most important is the issue of members of an LLC and whether they have a financial direct or indirect interest in this type of application. I know the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission goes through such applications with a fine-tooth comb. The local boards, the License Commission here in Lowell doesn't have the wherewithal, the means to go through such an application and to demand, or at least on the face of it, demand that certain documentation be submitted and certain affidavits filed in lieu of financial records, because sometimes there is an issue of, well, if so-and-so is not part of a financial direct or indirect interest, it may be a necessity to have an affidavit, a sworn statement by the particular individual to such a case, such a matter.
so I guess we just review it again at the next meeting. I think that's the best thing to do.
And the last matter on the agenda is an application for a transfer of a package store license. The applicant is Boomy Liquors, Inc., for transfer of the all-alcoholic beverage package store license held by Ornelas Enterprises for premises at 1012 Gorham Street. The attorney representing Boomy Liquors has filed a complete application. This nature of this application requires a legal notice to be published in the local newspaper. Because the premises remains the same and there's no change proposed or requested, it only necessitates a publication of legal, but not to have the applicant notify the property owners touching the abutters.
Yes, I would be my recommendation that we schedule it for the next meeting date, November 8th, 2012.
That be the case, then I would have a legal notice published for Friday's newspaper, October the 26th, and it has to be not less than 10 days. A hearing could not be scheduled until not less than 10 days from the date of publication, so that gives us about 13 to 14 days.
Great. Is everybody in agreement there?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, that's all.
And then just relative to that used car, secondhand motor vehicle license, it doesn't appear that, is it Mr. Harvey showed up? So I guess we could just continue that again till November 8th, and hopefully he appears.
I'll send him another notice, letting it be known that if he doesn't present something or appear before the board, he could theoretically have his license application denied.
Denied, correct. Okay, and with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. We're all done.